So it's not about hurting anyone. It's not about ranking and trying to get a higher belt system. You're really learning very important concepts that you apply in daily life.
A lot of people in the audience is curious to know what has Aikido has to do with autoimmune disease or chronic conditions. And we're going to talk about that. But I think I would like to tell everybody that this is very connected with our general health, with or without autoimmune, with or without chronic condition, because as I just mentioned in Charn's introduction, we are going to talk about breathing. She's going to talk, in fact, about breathing, about awareness, about focus, about balance. Balance is something very important for many people who have certain mobility affected by autoimmune. So we all need, and I think we all need a little bit more of awareness and balance. So Charn, you mentioned that through Aikido, you develop mindfulness. So can you tell us first, what is mindfulness?
Well, you hear that word a lot. Mindfulness is, throughout the, social media and holistic therapies. But mindfulness to me is when you become more present, more conscious, right? More aware and more in control of, your body and your mind. That's how I define embodying mindfulness. Mindfulness is where you're not overly reactive or overwhelmed with everything because you're at the moment. You're living your life and you're aware and in control of whatever's happening around you, how you speak to people, how you drive, how you eat. Mindfulness is everywhere. I practice and teach mindfulness on the mat, but many of the times I take it off the mat and I live my life in a mindful way. So there's many ways you can experience mindfulness. For example, when you're talking to somebody, you need to not put your phone down. You need to make eye-to-eye connection, listening and feeling the energy exchange between the person that you're conversing with is being mindful and fully present at the moment. And I find a lot of people nowadays, they're really overstimulated. They are not even paying attention. What did you say? I wasn't even, or I'm looking at my texts, or even when you're eating. I notice that at restaurants, when I eat at home, I take the time and I prepare, the table setting. I actually light the candle. I turn on the music. I'm sitting there with my Belgian husband. We have long dinners. We have conversations. We listen to each other. We're very mindful. We're not woofing down the food. We actually chew our food and let the digestive enzymes. So it's really much better for your body if you're more aware of what's happening around you and how you take in the information and digest it in a very calm, controlled, focused manner. So and mindfulness is all around us.
Yeah. And that is also great because especially what you mentioned in terms of food, because, in this summit, we are talking a lot about many times about nutrition and about what you should eat and you should not. But one of the main points is even if you eat a lot of good food with good nutrition, if you are stressed out, your body cannot absorb the nutrients. So
That's
being
right.
calm, give time, and even relax to go into, I think mindfulness bring us also to the sympathetic nerve, parasympathetic nervous system. So the rest and digest. So as I said, rest and digest. So your stomach gets calmer, you can in fact absorb better. So we already know how important this is for our health.
Yeah. So, even when you're cutting your food, cut it into small bites. Take the time to chew your food instead of taking huge bites, trying to finish it quickly so you can move on to the next task. I think we're losing that whole experience by going too fast. And obviously you were saying, we're losing the parasympathetic. We're not even entering in the stage where we can enjoy our food because we're going so fast, right?
Yeah, and you cannot absorb. And also, you mentioned many times you've seen restaurants. I remember I'm from Brazil, and I was in a restaurant before COVID, and everybody's looking on the cell phone, and they are talking to each other, and they look at the cell phone, and then suddenly you see they're just talking on the cell phone. The other people are not. And then I'm like, this is insane. They don't look at each other; they look at the cell phone, and then they look and they talk, and they're like,
That's right. I mean, if you see, I mean, this actually bothers me a lot. I teach kids and adults Aikido, so teaching mindfulness. And when you go to a restaurant, you see a family bring their DVDs or a device where the child's watching that, and he's not actually, you're teaching them bad habits.
yeah.
You know, they should actually be
From a very early age, which is worse
right,
because it's more difficult later on. Yeah.
yeah. So, you know, put away your phones, leave it in the car. You know, the people that are at the table is important to you. Take the time to have that conversation, connect. Teaching your kids young to you know, eat slowly, focus on the food, enjoy the conversation rather than getting overstimulated and actually stressed out because they're watching a movie or watching, you know, playing a video game, and they're not focused on one task. They're multitasking, and that is always a disaster when you do that.
Yeah, it's not good for the brain also.
No.
And it's a lot of stimulus. I think we all, not only kids, adults also, we have a lot of stimulus. There's too much for the system. And that's why I think also there is a raise in anxiety because everybody's trying to reach faster than they can do. It's already in the future instead of here and too much stimulus going around. It's we all need mindfulness. And that's also the field that I work with presence embodiment, which is, like you said before, embodied mindfulness. So how do you practice? I have a question that is for a person who has never done anything about mindfulness, who has anxiety, who the mind is quite fast and going everywhere and they don't know how to control. What do you think could be the first step or two steps they can kind of help to just slow down a little bit from where they are to a little bit here?
Well, we all need to breathe. And that's the most important, I would say, you know, taking and practicing deep breathing, you know, sends oxygen into your brain, you know, activate your vagus nerve. I deal with a lot of holistic professionals, which is my other job, my other life. And just, you know, the deep breathing takes you from the sympathetic nervous system, you know, state to the parasympathetic. And you could definitely do it in a quiet space in your home, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. You know, it doesn't take that long. So my husband, who's a sensei in Aikido, he was doing a huge seminar and he was allowing one question. He says, but somebody asked and they were like, what is the one thing you would want to teach us? One technique that just, you know, would help us, you know, in our daily life. And he says, just breathe. Because breathing,
like, okay, I'm not breathing. No, you're not breathing correctly.
Yeah, breathing leads to everything. You know, it's the life source, right? You're bringing energy into your body. And so, you know, find a space that's very quiet, that you're comfortable. You don't have to sit in a lotus position and all that. Just sit and start by just inhaling deeply. Try to find a hold for 1 or 2 seconds and slowly exhale with abdominal, you know, exhale. And so when you do that over, you know, I would say a good 5 minutes to start, and then add on 10 minutes, you know, whenever you can. And you'll soon feel that state from stress to relaxation. And that would be a great start, breathing. Yeah. And I actually teach that, you know, to the kids at the end of every class. Every class, we do our techniques, we do our games, but everybody finds a space and we quietly breathe together. We use our arms to guide the motions of inhaling, hold at the top, and then pushing down to exhale. And so that is one of the most important, I would say, that you start with.
Yeah, thank you. And that's great because first of all, it's also free.
Yes.
Second, you need to breathe anyway. So why not breathing in a better way? And I love the movement you're saying, like inhaling like this and then holding the top and then exhaling doing like this. That helps a lot. It might help you who is watching the interview here also to do that. And sometimes even I say 2 minutes, and then you go 3 minutes, and then you go 4,
Right.
and 5,
Everything
and
takes practice, right? You
practice.
may not, it may feel awkward at first, but the more you do it, the more comfortable, and then your body will reward you. And then in turn, you'll want to do it more for longer periods. So besides that, I would say sitting still and not having turn off your phone. And maybe you can put on soft music and just sitting there. And it's called, letting the images pass by, not focused on one thing. Don't get stressed out on a thought so I sit in silence. And when I start to, think of something, I just let it pass. I let it go. And I do that for 5 minutes and then 10 minutes. Of course, you would refer to it as meditation.
I avoid saying this word most of the time because everybody thinks Zen that you're gonna sit and don't think about anything, and
it's hard to do.
Very
it
hard.
is hard to do, emptying your mind, not thinking about anything or focused on anything, because you want your body to start feeling the emptying the stress out of your body. And you have to use your mind to envision you spreading and getting even bigger like a pyramid and feeling stronger and more, grounded to the ground. So
that's going to take me to a question that I want to know more, which is like what that I think you're already talking about, the concepts in Aikido that promote mindfulness. So this connection of Aikido and the meditation and the mind. I think the martial arts all has, this side of it, which has the very mental state also. It helps not only the body, but it's also the mental state. But please.
Right. So I just want to explain to those who are not familiar with what Aikido is.
Oh, yes, I forgot to say, I lived in Japan for 12 years, so I'm familiarized with Aikido.
Yeah. So Aikido is martial arts, Japanese martial arts that was descended from the samurais. And it's really the art of harmonizing energy. And so there's no competition in Aikido. It's really about self-development and redirecting the energy that you receive and blending with your partner. So it's not about hurting anyone. It's not about ranking and trying to get a higher belt system. You're really learning very important concepts that you apply in daily life. For example, the start of every class is the preparation of your mind and body. So there's a lot of breathing, relaxation, moving of the joints to make sure you're in tune, grounding. So you grab your fist together and you're connecting to heaven and earth. So there's a lot of imagery and breathing going on, and it's a full body connection. And then what happens afterwards is that you offer your hand to your partner and he connects as he comes in. As he comes in, you learn timing. You learn when to move, not to pull, not to hurt anybody, but to totally come together in a harmonious, connection. And through that, you learn to let go of things. What my husband always says, put the ego in the trunk. When you get on the mat,
I love that.
You're 100% on the mat. You have to be completely available. So we're actually emptying the mind.
It seems to me that brings you to the present moment. You cannot be thinking about later on, I'm going to do this and that, or I did this. You have to be in the present moment, because to get the hand and to feel when is the right timing, it's something very much in the present moment.
That's right. And there's no kata forms in Aikido. So you kata forms are just, one step-by-step movement. Let's say you see it in karate or other martial arts. In Aikido, it's whatever you receive. So everybody's different. So somebody may come in fast, some may come in slower. So you're actually reacting to the timing, to the present moment of what is given to you. So through the repetitive practice, you learn to feel, you learn to react to the present moment. And if you don't move, let's say if somebody's actually striking you, you get hit and you learn, right?
Like life.
You learn very quickly.
It's like life.
That's right. You get hit. But the thing with Aikido, it's a samurai mentality, is you fall down, you get back up. You learn to be resilient, but you don't give up. And you take that practice as a learning experience, just as you go through life and you learn, right? When you fail, but you got to get back up. But there's no.
I just want to interrupt you here. Sorry,
Sure.
but that's, I think, very important for the audience, especially when we have autoimmune disease or chronic conditions that, I always say it's not a journey that goes like this, or many times like this, sometimes can be like this. But if we are doing things for our well-being, it still is a journey that sometimes we go a little bit down and up and down and up. But it's important we know the direction we want to go. But life is not always smooth. So I think this resilience that you're talking about, this we never give up. The samurai says you fall, you get up again. I think that is very important for people who are dealing with health issues, because the person can be quite depressed also with a certain diagnosis and certain conditions. So this is, in fact, something very good to learn for our lives.
Yeah. So Aikido is amazing for the full body, and of course, exercise is very important, for autoimmune. Right. So to keep the blood moving, the circulation, having the joints intact.
Lubricated. I say we lubricate the joints.
Yeah, it is definitely lubricating the joints, because the more you move, your body's actually being trained by the brain, to react at the moment. And you're not thinking, you're not stressed. And so you're learning as you're moving your body, and I know Dr. Kelly Miller, he's actually a guest on your summit, and he always talks about the mind-body connection and how the brain controls everything. And it's important to retrain the brain. When people come on the mat in Aikido, they're actually training their body to forget, not to think, but training their body to react.
Or can we say is the integration of body and mind? Because I think nowadays we are so much, I teach embodiment also, people think they are in the body, not just aware of the body, but they are all only here in the top of the head. The body is disconnected, in fact. And it seems
Very
to me this is like connecting the body now, integrating as one, because we are one, body and mind. That is.
Yeah, there's no way you can perform Aikido correctly if you're stressed. We tell people, bend your knees, make it soft knees, do nice big fluid motions. If you're stressed and you're tight, you can't do Aikido. Because you can't feel. When you're stressed and you're tight, you can't feel what's coming at you. And in life, it's the same way. When you're stressed and everything, you can't control the situation. You feel overwhelmed. So building a focus of what's coming at you is important on and off the mat, right? When you learn the breathing techniques, you learn how to deal with stress, and you know that you're just improving yourself daily. You're not trying to reach one goal. It's a journey, right?
That's very good.
Very important. Very important. So, Aikido is just the blending of the energies that everybody has energy coming from them. I love this saying, Ichigo Ichie. I'm sure you know what that means. One moment in time. We only have time is such an important commodity that can't be brought back. So be grateful. Don't waste your energy.
Be present.
Be present. Don't waste your energy, because if you actually, take in at the moment, you're not thinking and wasting energy, worrying, fearing. You're concentrated on what needs to be done. Focus on the solutions. If you actually look up Aikido in Forbes, There's an article that says every leader should practice Aikido or study Aikido to become a good leader. There's a lot of concepts in Aikido that parallel concepts of leadership, because to be a good leader, you need to be focused. You need to be not stressed, aware of situations, but also be able to kind of bring your team together and control the energies, because there's always conflict here and there.
And from the team, I would make an analogy in terms of Aikido, would be like the teams is what is coming to you. Some person is going to be very fast in that team. Some person is going to be very slow, and you will know how to handle and deal with each person more, how to say, skillfully.
But in order to do that, you need to remain calm. You need to breathe. Exactly. You need to relax, because then you're open to listening and connecting. And so in Aikido, we, graduate and then we have multiple attackers. Well, we're not stressed. We're actually looking at one attack at the coming towards them. We're actually, if in Japanese, since you're familiar with the terminology, metsuke, seeing the whole picture. So in life, just look at the whole picture, step back. Don't be so focused on one problem, because things happen for a reason in life. It leads you to other things. And so you've got to be just aware of, your surroundings, but not be so stressed and focused like this. Why is this happening to me? Stress will affect your autoimmune system.
Definitely.
That is completely connected. So being able to practice Aikido, being more mindful, will lower your stress level, not only help you with other areas in your life, but yes, definitely.
Yeah, so you already mentioned about the self-development, and I think so. Now I'm curious about one thing also. If a person has mobility issues, for example, but let's say she or he wants to do some exercise of Aikido, is it possible? Do you have, because like I just thought about, we have restorative yoga, for example, yoga that you do on a chair, and then suddenly I'm like, oh, what about the person has issues but would like to do? How is it possible? How does it work?
So it's definitely possible if you have injuries, or if you have something that's preventing you to do other physical activities. Aikido has a lot of soft movements, and we're always aware of our body and not doing anything aggressive. There's no kicking. There's a lot of just rocking, rolling, and moving. It's very much like Tai Chi, almost. But there's a martial
component. Talking and I'm shaking. I'm going,
because it's non-competitive, you work at your own pace. So if somebody cannot, do a full break fall, let's say, they do a rock. And a rocking motion can actually be very good for your body, because you're touching all areas of your body, improving circulation. Everybody works at their own pace. So we have practitioners that are 75, 80 years old that come 3 days a week in the morning to get the movement going on. And so they do what they can, because we're not competing, we're actually working with each other. And whatever he gives, I can still receive and give it to the person at their own pace.
Yeah, and it seems to me, because of the aspect of the mindfulness and to being very present in the body, then you're also very aware to respect the limitations of the body. Because many times I see this, when I go to see people doing exercise in the gym, that many times they are not very present in the body. Most of the time, they are not present in the body, to tell the truth. And then, they can many times hurt the body because they are not aware of what they are doing. And I think this, it seems to be this mindfulness and embodiment will help the person, even not only on, as you say, on the map, but in life, when sometimes you are doing something that you do not have the capacity. Which reminds me when I was young. I remember carrying a supermarket bag that was so heavy because I had a muscular problem before. And then years later, I'm like, wow, now I understand. I should not have done that. But at that time, I was like, no, I have to do this. So
yeah, your body is very smart. The more you work it out, the more you move, it gets stronger each time. I started Aikido when I was 30. I'm now 54, and I'm in better shape than I was when I was 30. because, through continuous movement and practice, your body gets stronger, naturally. And so it is very good for all, ages, men, women, children, because you're just reacting naturally. There's nothing aggressive. And when we have a relationship in Aikido where the senior teaches the junior, the black belt teaches the white belt, so it's a very, cooperative relationship. We're not there, again, as I was saying, trying to hurt each other. So that way, the whole mindset of Aikido is helping each other versus, and it's not a stressed out environment as, when you compete, right?
Yeah. And that's great, because many times we are already competing with others, with ourselves, with our mind, with everything. And
Right.
to have an environment, and a real environment where you have this possibility of not competing with anyone, neither with yourself, just relearning how to enjoy, in fact, relearning how to enjoy without any competition. It seems to be like, oh, like when I was a child, like playing.
It is. It's it brings out the very good qualities in people, helping each other, trying to find solution and working with each other. And then, of course, that applies into life. It really drips into life. I use Aikido daily in my work as well as in my personal life. In my work, I'm more focused. I connect with people. I solve one issue at a time. I'm not overwhelmed. If something comes to me and it needs immediate attention, if it's an emergency, I'll make room for it. But if it doesn't, I'll put it on the list, because you can only do so much. You don't want to overwhelm your body, because being overwhelmed, stress will cause chronic conditions, right?
Yeah. And if a person has already condition, stress is going to make it worse. The symptoms, yeah.
Right.
This awareness is very, very, very important.
Super important.
Yeah. So we're coming to an end of our conversation here, our interview, but I would like you offering a free gift to the audience, and I would like to ask if you could talk about your
Yeah. So, getting started is just the hardest part, So I'd like to provide some introductory videos on how to breathe, how to warm up your body, things that you can do at home in a small space, with or without a partner. And then once you start, the motion, you'll realize, okay, I can do this. And, the simple exercises will give you confidence, lower your stress. So quick 5-minute exercises, I'll provide those as a video series for your audience.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate. And I think breathing is important for all of us, independent of our condition anyway. And if you're in the audience, if you have any mobility issues that you cannot do, I have a suggestion, which is can be a little bit strange, but you can also imagine that you are doing that, because nowadays they have labs that have shown that when you visualize that you are doing something, the body also responds to that. In the same way when we are stressed about the future. So instead, you imagine that your body is moving. This will bring more wellness, I think, for your body. If that idea is too weird, then just throw away my idea.
It's an absolutely great idea. Visualization will help as well. So super important. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So now I just would like to ask you, Charn, about, I always like to finish the interview asking for a final word or something you would like to tell people who are having chronic conditions. But I want to, of course, I know you're going to say this through the filters of Aikido and mindful. So that's what I would like you to give some perspective through the mindfulness about what would be something to tell the audience.
Well, being mindful connects you to everything that's happening around you. Take time. Don't be in a hurry for things. Things will naturally happen. And if you are able to be more mindful, obviously you'll lower your stress, be able to sleep better. Every system in your body will come together and work perfectly. It's designed that way. So let nature take its course. Don't rush things, and be mindful every day in everything you do.
Oh, thank you so much. This is wonderful. And I think take time is a very good advice for everyone right now in our life. Take time.
Super important. Yeah,
Super
make time
important.
for your health because, you know, for me, I reward myself every week. I either have a massage, I eat lunch with my friend, I take, you know, time to drink tea. Sitting still is a great time. Of course, I practice Aikido every day, but reward yourself. You work hard enough, you know, give yourself some self-care. It's going to take you in the long run.